Chapter 17. The Fallen. A Mother's Fear. Elion, the Cathedral of Creation. Illyria sat alone on the cold marble steps of the great altar, the vast cathedral of creation, stretching endlessly around her like a hollowed-out shell of its former glory. Towering crystal columns that once sang with pure, golden radiance now emitted a faint, sickly pallor, their inner light flickering uncertainly. Shadows clung to the vaulted ceilings where none had ever dared linger before. The air itself felt heavier, laced with the distant metallic tongue of smoke drifting up from the world below. She felt it the exact moment it happened. A sharp, searing pain exploded in her chest, as though a delicate golden thread binding her soul to her suns had been violently torn. Illyria gasped sharply, doubling forward on the steps. One hand clutched at her heart while the other braced against the unyielding marble. Golden tears spilled down her luminous cheeks, each droplet shimmering with divine sorrow before dissolving into tiny sparks that faded into the air. "No," she whispered, her voice raw and trembling. "Chaol, my sweet boy." The echo of his despair crashed over her across the veil between realms. She could sense the blackened feather crumbling in his fist, the insidious threads of shadow weaving through his once pure light. The warm, constant connection she had nurtured since his birth, now pulsed with something colder, something ancient and hungry stirring awake inside him. Rapid footsteps echoed through the cavernous nave. Lyral, her most devoted high priestess, hurried down the long aisle, her white and silver robes billowing behind her. The moment she saw Illyria hunched on the altar steps, Lyral's face drained of color. "My lady," she rushed forward and dropped to her knees beside the goddess, reaching out but hesitating to touch her. "What has happened? Are you injured? Shall I call the healers?" Illyria lifted her head slowly. Her usually serene, radiant features were twisted with raw maternal anguish. But beneath the sorrow burned a growing flame of anger she had rarely permitted herself to feel. "My son is changing, Lyral," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "The darkness on Askare. It's reaching for him, and the worst part is that part of him is reaching back. I felt the fracture in my very soul. The light within Chaol is dimming. That beautiful, perfect light I gave him is being tainted." Lyral's hands tightened in the folds of her robes, her expression one of deep concern and fear. "The prince has always been strong, my lady. He carries your grace and Azoth's fire. Surely there is still hope? We can pray. We can pray." Illyria rose to her feet with graceful but pained effort. Her white and gold robes shimmered as her power stirred restlessly around her, causing nearby braziers to flare brighter. The scent of blooming night flowers and fresh rain filled the air, clashing against the growing stench of war drifting up from below. "I have prayed enough. I begged Azoth on my knees for mercy. I pleaded with him not to send our son down there alone, into that nest of corrupted siblings and ancient shadows. I warned him Chaol wasn't ready to face Zarek's darkness, Enchidia's whispers, or Estriel's seductive chaos without proper guidance. But my husband's pride, his unyielding righteousness, would not yield an inch." She paced slowly before the altar, golden energy flickering at her fingertips like anxious fireflies dancing in distress. Lyral remained kneeling but lifted her gaze, her voice hesitant yet loyal. "What would you have us do, my lady? The Silver Guard watches every portal with orders from the Emperor himself. Azoth has made his will clear. No interference from the Silver City until the war is decided by strength of arms." Illyria stopped abruptly. Her gentle, loving eyes that had soothed countless souls hardened with a steely determination few had ever witnessed in the goddess of love and healing. The light surrounding her blazed outward, pushing back the sickly pallor that had crept into the cathedral's corners. "Prepare my personal clerics," she commanded, her tone resolute and ringing with authority. "The ones who still remember compassion over conquest, the healers, the peacemakers, those who follow the old ways of mending rather than burning. I am going down to Askare myself." Lyral's head snapped up in shock, her eyes wide. "My lady, no, Azoth has forbidden it. He declared any direct interference from you would only complicate the war and weaken our position," he said. "I don't care what Azoth has forbidden." Illyria snapped. Her voice rang through the massive cathedral like a clear, resonant bell, echoing off the crystal vaults and causing the golden braziers to flare violently. "He banished my sister to the outer voids. He cast our son into the fire without a second thought. I will not sit here in this gilded paradise, wringing my hands in useless prayer while both of them break apart." She raised her hand with deliberate grace. A swirling portal of soft, radiant golden light began to form before her raw creation magic, beautiful yet dangerously unstable. Through the shimmering veil, a glimpse of the war-torn fields of Gallia appeared. Scorched earth, distant fires, and columns of smoke rising like funeral pyres. Illyria stepped toward the portal without hesitation, her robes trailing light behind her. "Tell Azoth," she said quietly, though her words carried the weight of prophecy, "that his wife has chosen her side, and it will not be the side of needless destruction." Lyral bowed her head in fearful reverence as the goddess moved forward, the portal's golden light bathing the cathedral in one last defiant glow before swallowing Illyria whole. The first true fracture in the heart of Elion had now begun.